5.6, add and subtract mixed numbers. Homework and practice, this is page 229. And this says, find the sum or difference, write your answer in simplest form. So we're going to be adding and subtracting these mixed numbers which have unlike denominators, and then we're going to write them in simplest form, okay? Number 1 says 1 1/4 plus 2 2/3. Now I already wrote that here, and I like to do the 4 squares for this as well. It's the same thing as we've been doing with just adding and subtracting fractions. We're just doing mixed numbers now. Mixed numbers is when it has a whole number in front of the fraction. This is called a mixed number or a mixed fraction, okay? So I like to write out my equation here, my multiples here, rewrite it here, and then write it in simplest form here, write my answer here, okay? So I've already written it out, 1 1/4 plus 2 2/3. This is number 1. I'm gonna write out my multiples for 3 and for 4. Now you can multiply across and get 12, or you can just go ahead and write it out. I like to just do it in steps, okay? As you do this more and more practice, you're gonna see that it's a lot easier. You'll know automatically what the least common multiple is between the two numbers and what the common denominator needs to be. So I got 3 and 4. 3 is 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, and 18. I'm going to stop there. 4 is 4, 8, 12, and I'm going to go to 16. I'm going to go ahead and stop because I already see that this 12, I'm going to circle it, is my least common multiple. It's the same. It's the least number that's the same. The smallest number the same. And I'm going to write 12 here. Okay? Just like we learned before, it needs to stay consistent throughout. Our denominator needs to stay consistent throughout. I'm going to go ahead and bring my 1 over here. Blank 12th. Plus, I'm going to go ahead and bring my 2 over here. Blank 12th. So this 4 has to become a 12 somehow. How many times can 4 go into 12 equally? You either automatically know it's 3 if you know your 4s, or you can come down here and count 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to multiply my denominator by 3 and my numerator by 3. 1 times 3 is 3. And then how many times can 3 go into 12? That's 4 times. What you do to the bottom, multiply by 4. You do to the top, multiply by 4. And then 2 times 4 is 8. I'm going to go ahead and add my whole numbers. 1 plus 2 is 3. 3 plus 8 is 11. Remember to keep your consistency between your denominators. Keep that 12. Don't put 24 there. Keep it the same. It's 12. And you get 3 and 11 twelfths. Now, is this simplified? Yes, it is. How come? Because that numerator 11 is a prime number. It only has 2 factors, 1 and 11, so it cannot go any smaller. And 11 can't go into 12. So your answer for number 1 is 3 and 11 twelfths. Now, there is another way that you can do this, okay? And I'm not going to show it on this video. But you can always turn this mixed number into an improper fraction. An improper fraction is whenever your numerator is bigger than your denominator. That's called an improper fraction. And there's a way to turn a mixed number into an improper fraction. And once you do that, then you still have to find the common denominator. Once you get the big number, then you're gonna get a huge improper fraction. Then you have to turn that back into a mixed number. Okay, to me, that's just 2 extra steps. This way is a lot easier. I can show it on another video how to do that. It is more practice to help you simplify or to turn a mixed improper fraction to a mixed number. But we're going to do it this way for now. Number 2 is 3 3/4 plus 4 5/12. I want to make sure that that's right. I put my paper over here. 3 3/4 plus 4 5/12. Yes. Okay. So looking at our denominators here, can 4 go into 12 equally? I think so. I mean, you can look at the number before. But yes, if your denominator here, your smaller denominator, can go into your larger denominator equally, automatically this mixed number, this denominator is 12. Your common denominator is going to be 12. So this mixed number is going to stay the same. Okay, so what we're going to have to do is work with this mixed number and I'm going to leave my 3, leave my whole number 3. This is going to be 12 plus I'm going to keep 4 and 5/12. Why am I keeping it 4 and 5/12? Once again, I don't have to do anything with this because this 12 is already going to be my common denominator. You don't do anything with this mixed number but carry it over here. We do have to change this over here, this fraction over here, because this was a 4, it's now a 12. Well, how did that 4 become a 12? You multiplied it by 3. You need to multiply the numerator by 3. 3 times 3 is 9. Okay? And then you get 3 and 9/12 plus 4 and 5/12. I'm going to go ahead and add my 3 and my 4 and get 7. I'm going to keep my 12 here. Do not make it 24. Keep it consistent. And the 9 plus 5 is 14. Okay, so here we have what we call an improper fraction. Our numerator is bigger than our denominator. We can't leave it at 7 and 14/12. 12 can go into 14, so it's going to actually change my whole number here as well. Okay, so I'm going to just kind of go away from that 7 from right now. Don't forget it. It's still there. But we have 14/12. We got to figure out how many times can 12 go into 14? Not equally, but how many 12s can go into 14? And that would be 1 time. Okay? And then you just take out 12 because you took it out already once here. So you have to subtract 14 minus 12 and get 2 12ths. You want to bring your 7 back in and add this. 7 plus 1 is 8 and 2 12ths. Now, anytime you have in your fraction 2 even numbers, it can be simplified. It can be simplified. 2 is a prime number. It's the only prime number that can be, that's an even number, but it can also be simplified. 2 divided by 2, we're going to do what you do to the top, you do to the bottom. Okay? So I'm going to have 8. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 12 divided by 2 is 6. So your answer here is 8 and 1/6. Okay, so let's go back through this so it's not confusing. I'll go back up here. I added my 3 plus 4 and got 7. I kept my 12 consistent. And then 9 plus 5 is 14. Here I have that improper fraction. I can't have an improper fraction in my answer. Okay? So we have to figure out how many times can 12 go into 14? Well, 1 time. So we're going to take it out. We're going to take 12 out once from the numerator. 14 minus 12 gives me 2 left over. Keeping that consistency here that we've been talking about, I have 1 and 2 12ths. I still have the 7 here, and I have this 1 here, so you have to add that. I just went ahead and just changed that equal sign to an addition because I don't want you to forget that 7. So I got 7 plus 1 is 8 and 2 12ths. Once again, I have 2 even numbers in my fraction. It can be simplified. It can be simplified just dividing it by 2. Divided by 2 is 1. 12 divided by 2 is 6. So your answer simplified is 8 and 1/6. Number 11, 4 and 1/3 minus 3 and 1/6. Okay, can 3 go into 6 equally? Yeah, it can. So I don't even have to write out my multiples here. I already know that 3, 6, 9 is going to give me, my multiples of 3, 6, 9, one of them is a 6. Well, I already have a 6 here, so my common denominator is going to be 6. So I'm going to go ahead and have 4 blank 6 minus 3 and 1/6. And remember, once again, the reason I'm leaving that 3 and 1/6 because this denominator 6 is already the common denominator, so that whole fraction, just the whole mixed number stays the same. But this has to change. This 3 has to change to a 6. Well, how many times can 3 go into 6? Twice. What you do to the bottom, you do to the top. 1 times 2 is 2. And remember, this time you're subtracting. Don't do 4 plus 3 is 7. 4 minus 3. My whole numbers first is 1. Keeping my 6 consistency, remember? And then 2 minus 1 is 1. This is your answer. Because remember, I told you in one of the videos that anytime you have a 1 in your numerator, it's already simplified. So your answer to number 11 is 1 and 1/6. These get a lot easier as the more practice that we do, the more that you do them. So here is number 15. Have 6 3/4 minus 2 and 5/16. Can my smaller denominator go into my bigger denominator equally? Yes, it can. Because if I do my 4s, 4, 8, 12, 16. I know my common denominator is going to be 16. That would also be my least common multiple if I wrote out my multiples. And I'm going to go ahead and write 6, bring that whole number over, and blank 16ths minus 2 and 5/16. Remember, we're keeping that the same because we didn't have to change anything here. 16s are already my common denominator. That 4 became a 16 by multiplying by 4. What you do to the denominator, you do to the numerator. 3 times 4 is 12. We're subtracting here. I'm going to subtract my whole numbers first. 6 minus 2 is 4. Keeping my 16 as a consistency. 12 minus 5 is 7. This is simplify. Why? Because 7 cannot go into 16 equally, and 7 is a prime number. 4 and 7/16 is your answer to number 15. So on this one as well, I would only want you to do questions 1 through 16 because I think you just need to practice on mixed numbers and adding and subtracting, unlike denominators, working with fractions. If you need to get a hold of me, once again, you can email me, joe.tijerina@amaisd.org or .net. You can also call me 806-206-5378, or you can reach me on Google Classroom. Thank you guys. Have a good day.